Welcome guys, this is a new tutorial and a quick introduction to Stan's Path Tools. It's a pretty fun tool that I've been working with him on testing and designing the concept, and he's been very nice to actually do it. So first things first, we need to install it if you want to use it. It's quite logical, so I assume you've downloaded it. After you have, just drag and drop. And here we go, into the link editor. You can have the options to uninstall and install. In this case we are going to install. It creates a new panel, it puts in the new scripts, it overwrites the old one if you already have it installed, and you can now remove it. Now with this we have two main things, a panel, which I'll explain later, and the create paths tool, which if you right click on top creates segments. We also have an option to load and save and create tools from geometry or paths from geometry, etc. But we're going to focus on the basics. So each segment of a path, when you right click on it, is technically a frame. So if we have 6 segments, it will be 6 frames between each node, each control node. In this case we're going to up it up to 15. Because the path tools has a system of retiming your path, and with ease in, a central easing system, and an ease out, which I'm still trying to learn how to use, the segments aren't necessarily set in stone. So let's create a path. We need to select the path object. So here's the object. A beautiful little spaceship that I created. Took me hours. So you select it first and then left click on the button and it will create a new path starting at the origin of the object or center. So let's create some new path systems. As we can see, it's floating above the surface, so it's looking good. There we go, that's our new path. Wonderful! Let's open up the panel. If we scrub the timeline, nothing happens. Completely normal. This is because we need to select the path and save it to the list. Done. Let's select it and load it. There. Now the path is loaded. Why is this necessary? It's because the panel is context sensual or context based. So that means you need to select the path and activate it. So this loader activates the path. And then we need to select the object and link the object to that path, to whatever active path is used. Now, if we activate the manual move, we can start seeing that things are moving. But as you can see, things are not moving the way we want it to, mainly because the path has a toggle matrix. The matrix of this object should be animated. In this case we wouldn't have so many problems, but the path by default is set to owner matrix. When you have parented and hierarchied objects, you cannot use the owner matrix because that's where the parent plugs into, but you can animate the matrix. So let's toggle the matrix and let's try that again. So let's move it in, make sure the path is loaded, and let's link, and let's locate the new object. The locate button is like say, hey, go back to the beginning, and it does that. Now we're on the matrix and we have the option of hiding handles and hiding the path. If we look in the path segments, we can change how many segments we have, so say 20 frames per segment. In this case we want 15, and we can choose what is the up vector. So say if the object is the X is up and we start moving things, the X is going to go up. We say Y is up, and look at the Y of the object, the Y is going to move up along the path. Z, oops, and so forth. So let's try the X. There we go. And then we have banking minus Z, which is only tested, which means things will bank around. But yeah, that's generally the way it goes. Obviously we can change the rotation of the object to world orientation and move it up like this. Let's oops, X, Y up. There we go. Rotation. Okay, I need to work on that a bit better. Parallel transport. Now what is parallel transport? It means it doesn't go along the path. It means it just has one orientation set and that's it. So it's kind of like turning on the follow path tool or not. So let's go into the object. We have two objects. One's a control point mesh and the other one's a load mesh. Load mesh is the path which we don't touch, and this is the path that we do touch. If we select it, we have the segments as you can see, but if we right click, it opens up a new panel. This panel here will give us power to start editing the path, which is wonderful. So if we select, say, a node and say select connected, we can move the whole path to create a three-dimensional path. Rotate it, scale it, whoops, the other way, and we can start playing around with different path effects. We can do right angles, we can do whatever we want. We can also create a new path. So if you say elect this path with this node, those two nodes, we can create a new node, boom, in between the two. And with that, we can, obviously there'll be 15 segments between each, but now we just created a new path. So with the new path created, let's start playing around. To do that, we need to record. So, I forgot to tell you, you can delete things that you don't like by this button here. There we go, back to normal. Wonderful. So let's go to the path thing here. We have a manual movement and we have a timed movement. Means it will be timed to the animation that we want. Right now it's a little choppy. We have 45 frames, so we're going at 30 frames per second, which is 1.5 seconds. So let's turn it on. That's much better. If we move it up to 45, it's a little slower, as you can see. This is like the length of time that it takes for it to play. There we go. We can say, hey, I want you to play it over the timer. So now we have this record option. This record option is a little interesting because now if we start moving things, if we look at the story, it creates a clip and it just changes. So with this clip it creates keyframes. If you look on the cube, it creates keyframes. These keyframes are important concerning animation, so let's do the timer. There we go, it's timing through. Right now it's doing it very slowly, but it will record one segment per frame. If we look here in the animation, we have one keyframe, which is one frame. If we look at the beautiful retimable curves, we can start to see how things are working. Meaning we can retime it manually and play back. This is now baked animation. And we can make it faster, or we can make it slower, etc. So, that's the basics of the path tools. And then we can start working on other things. So say, if we want to record by time, meaning things are going to take nice and slow, let's go to say 70 frames. Let's reset the timer. Let's go back to the beginning and record. Timer didn't work. Okay, let's try again. Record. As you can see, it only recorded 7 frames, but we've compressed it a lot, so let's pull it out and see what's happening. Notice that the first 7 frames didn't ease in and ease out, and then slow down and then hit the end. Why is that? Well, let's take a look into the path count here. Here we have a system of counting frames the duration and where it begins. We have an ease-in, exponential ease-in, which is located here. Then we have a linear tween, which is just a linear curve between each path here. And then we have an out sign. An out sign means it does exactly that. So that's the dynamic nature of using the path tools. We can also loop it if we want, and we can record manually. So that's about the gist of it. Oh, one little detail. We have a system of creating new tracks, making backup clips, selecting clips. So we can say refresh and we'll say, hey, anim clip, I want you to write into the anim clip, or we can create a new clip. We can rename them as well, which is quite nice. So it's a good little clip manager, and hopefully you find some good use for this dynamic paths tool. Thanks.